So today I will be making an interlanguage analysis of a student's text. I'll be looking at text level, coherence and cohesion, sentence level, both simple and complex, word group levels, CEFRL, and do a feedback to the student. I find that the student fulfills the requirements of the task. He describes what he and his family does when they get together, and also what he does when he's not at school. He starts writing about himself and what he wants to do in his future, and goes on to introducing his family to the reader before telling about how he and his family spend their time at family gatherings. The student shows that he has a good understanding of what is expected of him. Looking at the register according to Derivianka, we can look at the field. The topic is known to the student. The language used is a more everyday language than a formal language. Tenor, the student has the key role in the text, and he writes using me, my, and I correctly. He also uses they and we. That indicates that he has an understanding of the pronouns, the cohesion. The mode, the student has a nice way of writing that makes you feel that you get to know his family and him. There's a good variation in the student's sentences which create a text that has a lightness to it. Here's an example of a sentence. The red is the participants, the green is processes, blue is circumstances, and yellow is binders. He uses the participants correctly, like in us, boys, we, and he places the words in the right order. In the student's native language, often will come after play, and here he puts it in English in the right order. Binders, he uses binders he varies his binders, so it's not or and all the time. We also, in this example, see the difficulties he has. He forgets to use capital letters in like League of Legends and Minecraft, and then he uses a big capital letter in it. He then contracts it is to its, and you don't do that in written language. You use it when you speak English. Moving on, in the blue square, we can see some of the common constructed sentences that he's beginning to use. So he's developing a sense of constructing common sentences, like in my spare time and with each other. Sometimes he translates the language directly from his native language, like go on college or eat on McDonald's. You would say that in Danish, but in the target language English, you say go to college and eat at McDonald's. And again, he forgets the capital letter in Donald's. In the red square is even more translating directly from Danish to English. So in Danish you would say how they have it and how it's going. And in English you would say how they're doing instead. Then there's the word groups, and thereby the meaning. Typical and typically is two different things in English, but in Danish you will say typisk, and that would be the same word as these two places. And hangout, the compound word hangout is the place where you hang out, and hang out in two words is what you do with your friends. Homework in 2 words is when you clean the house, and homework in 1 word is when you actually do your homework from school. So he has some difficulties in this. He writes almost fluent, both long and short sentences, which makes the text more interesting to the reader. When we look at the CEFLR level, he is at a base user A2 level. He's familiar with everyday expressions. He can describe in simple terms aspects of his background, immediate environment, and matters in areas of immediate need. What I would work with this student is his punctuation and capital letters. His punctuation, or a lack of it, does that it's difficult to read the text. And the capital letters, or the missing capital letters, especially when he writes I, is just annoying. Oh, sorry. Then I would work with the word groups and the compound words. But it looks as if the errors aren't consistent. So I would think that a touch-up of the English grammar would do the job. Then I would look at adverbs. And if it's a general problem in the class, we could work with gambits and then focus on the adverbs. To this student, I would give 2 stars and a wish. The 2 stars are very interesting way of doing the task. Through this short essay, I have learned a lot about your family, even about the family dog. And I like the way you vary the conjunctions or the binders, making the text more interesting and fluent. Next time I would like to see that you have worked with your punctuations, full stop and commas. So that's it for this time. Thank you very much.